أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين وباعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين الرسول المؤيد والنبي الممجد المصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر وحجة الله الثاني عشر ابن العسكري المنتظر ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فإن الله الصادق العليم قال في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون صلوات. Sincere condolences to all of you on the occasion of the Arba'in of Abu Abdullah al-Husseini alayhi salatu wassalam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And the fifth night and the fifth lecture, just one more remaining tomorrow, which will then wind up our series for this Khamsa. Normally, many times when after the majlis, when we interact with the people, it may, while appear to be that we are indulging in a little talk or a little banter, but what majority of us, when we interact with the people, it's not just plain talks that we indulge in. While we talk, we are on the lookout for signs that would require us to intervene on certain issues that could probably be not clear to the individuals. And yesterday after the majlis, in my interactions with individuals, a very casual sentence was stated by an individual, probably even he was not aware. But when you hear these sentences, then you want to intervene. And hence, so the first part of this tonight's lectures was totally unplanned for in my entire sequence, which I had planned for here. And that was probably, it's important to clarify certain things. And when you pick up these sentences, you want to clarify it without it getting too far out of hand and creating more problems. Because there's always a possibility that if an individual has stated that comment, then it could be several others who could be having certain vagueness about that issue. And this is probably related, and many times it is said, okay, you shoot yourself in the foot. So you want to say something, But then you realize that now you have to take it forward and clarify it without going further till you sort that issue out. And if you remember last night when we were discussing about the manner in which the 12th Imam would arrive, we had indicated that when the 12th Imam comes, the misconception in the minds of the people is that we should rush towards the 12th Imam. And on a casual note, I had mentioned this issue. It was not intended. This is what I said, you shoot yourself in the foot. So you want to give information, but then now you have to clarify. So today, the first 10-15 minutes will go on clarifying, because now I need to explain it. That sentence demanded that I now explain it. You see, and understand this very carefully, because I need to rush very quickly. When we had indicated that on the Friday of Ashura, when the Imam would be given in the morning after Salatul Fajr, the indication by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that today you need to move out. Today is the time that you need to move out and you make a reappearance. There are several signs. Zulfiqar would stand up in front of him. Zulfiqar, the sword of Ali, which is there with him. It will rise up before him and says, now is the time that you need to take hold of me and start off on that universal mission of spreading justice on the universe, on planet Earth. When this takes place, we had mentioned that a sound would be heard, and now I need to open things up because now I can't just let it go through. So understand, when the sound is, a voice is heard right across the globe, indicating this is that second sound that will be heard, whereby now people are informed that the Imam is now officially reappearing, and you need to go out and help the Imam. And this was the time when I said that we need to hold back. We cannot go forward, and I need to prove this point so that if there are any gray areas, it needs to be cleared out. See, when the sound will be heard, and understand this, the sound will not be, we don't know how it is, but we can gauge, we can understand by means of the technological advancement that has taken place. Rawat say, when the sound comes informing the people that the Imam has arrived and now needs your help to spread his mission, every individual in the language that he knows and understands will hear that sound. It will not be specific to one language. So every individual, whichever language he is proficient in and comfortable in, will hear that. Now don't ask me how it would take place. The exact details we don't know. But we do have certain understanding as to how, if you want to give a comparison, it can take place. And the prime example is that when you go to we probably had a look at clips when you look into the news about individuals, when you have the Security Council in the United Nations, when the talk is going on, somebody goes onto the stage. Say, for example, Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. She goes upstairs, she wants to talk in Germany. While she's talking in Germany, individuals who are participating in the United Nations Security Council or the General Assembly, all of them of different dimensions, different demographies, different countries, different languages, they all have the translation machines that they put up onto their heads. While she's speaking in Germany, these individuals who are representing Tanzania, who don't know English, who don't know German, who only know Kiswahili, are able to understand in live telecast, on live translation that takes place through the machines. So there are examples whereby an individual speaks in one language, whereas the other individuals of the remaining 191 countries who are participating in the United Nations assemblies can hear it in their own language. So it is not far-fetched to understand that there could be a technological advancement whereby the announcement is made in one language, but individuals that are there of various different dimensions and language proficiencies would hear it in their language. But understand, this announcement comes, every individual, the riwayat is categorical. Everyone will hear it, everyone will understand what is happening, and everyone would realize what their responsibility is. But now, and this was what I was scared about to talk, because then you go on a different tangent. When this comes, the riwayat says, opposing this announcement will come another announcement. And the riwayat said this is the time when shaitan will make an announcement. Now don't get caught up by the words. Listen what happens. Just when the announcement comes from Jibreel or whoever is supposed to be announcing that the Imam has arrived, another announcement will make place. That this announcement that you've heard is false, is incorrect. There's nobody who's come. What you have heard previously is incorrect. Riwayat say, Shaitan has been the name that has been given. It could be an evil group. It could be a group that is opposing the haqq. The announcement is made. And it's very understandable. I don't know if you were watching CNN today. One of the documentaries that CNN showed today was the the significance and the impact of false news in the 2016 elections. And they brought about a whole lot of incorrect news that was circulating at the time of the elections, and which they felt played a very big impact onto the result that took place. So, for example, they were stating that on the internet, online, news reports were circulating that a man was caught demonstrating in the Trump rally. He was caught, and then he attested, he accepted, he confessed that he was given $3,500 to disrupt the assembly, to disrupt that congregation, to disrupt Donald Trump's speech. And then it was proved that this news was absolutely false. And they brought a slew of these reports which were wrong, which were incorrect, and they said played a very important role in diverting the opinions of the people, swaying the opinions of the people. So what was something to be correct then was opposed by something that was incorrect. So you have these sort of opposing views that take place even in the 2016 election. Similar to this, something would take place. I'm not saying this is how it would take place. We don't know how technology would advance at the time when the Imam would come. What I'm trying to tell you is that there is a possibility an event is taking place, simultaneously an opposite event, an opposite news is being given indicating what is happening is incorrect. Two conflicting reports keeping the people confused, keeping the people dazed. They don't know whether to accept this one or to accept this one. You heard about the explosion that took place in the Democrats' office in certain city, and then it was said, oh, it's one of the Trump supporters, and that was proved to be false. So when you have a story and eventuality and then opposing announcements, something similar will take place at the time. What the Riwayat says that when the second sound and the second announcement comes, now people are confused. They don't know which to accept, this one to accept or this one to accept. And here I would draw your attention to a tradition of the sixth Imam, Al-Sadiq al-Muhammad Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. In Bihar al-Anwar, the sixth Imam is narrating, and listen to this tradition. He says, a large number of the traditions with respect to and vis-a-vis the 12th Imam comes from the sixth Imam. There is a certain reason, again, we don't want to go into those reasons. But a lot of traditions about the 12th Imam have been narrated by the sixth Imam. Here he's having a gathering with his companions, and while he's sitting, he's talking to them, and he's narrating this particular thing. He says, people were asking, will people be able to identify and pinpoint the exact time when the Imam will reappear? It was in this context that the sixth Imam comes out. And he says, كَذَبَ الْوَقَاتُونَ وَحَلَكَ الْمُسْتَعْجِلُونَ. Two words, two phrases. كَذِبَ الْوَقَّاتُونَ. Those individuals who actually can tell you, okay, I have a belief that Imam on so-and-so day at so-and-so time is going to reappear. In so-and-so year he's going to reappear. In so-and-so month is going to reappear. If anybody were to pinpoint the exact time, date and location of we know the location is Makkah. But if somebody were to announce that in the month of Muharram, which is again certain, on the day of Ashura, again it is certain, which would fall on a Friday, again it is certain. But if somebody were to say in 2018 Imam is going to reappear over there, Imam says kadhiba, he's lying because he doesn't know. The authority, the ilm lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the second sentence is what is related to us. It says halakal musta'ajilun. Musta'ajil means somebody who wants to expedite, somebody who wants to do things in a haste. He says halaka. Halaka comes from the word halakat. Halakat means perdition, means annihilation, means destruction, means absolute perdition. He says those who hasten at the time when the call is made, and if they hasten, halaka, they will face perdition. Now it might appear to be very difficult to understand that when the announcement has been made by Jibreel or whoever it is, I'm not concerned. What is important is everybody would know what is happening. And if an individual hastens to the arrival, for the support, to help the Imam, why is it halakat takes place? Why would he perish? Why would he face annihilation? Riwayat says he needs to think, and we explain this. He needs to think, he needs to investigate, and then go. I want to take you back in time to the life of the sixth Imam and tell you exactly an incident similar to what is going to happen. And all along our effort has been to bring out events and incidences that have taken place in the past, how people have reacted to it, how people have taken lessons from them? No, we need to take lessons from the events of how people have reacted to make sure that when this will be repeated, albeit in the personality of the 12th Imam, we don't make the same mistakes as the people made over there. And this is the time of the 6th Imam. And you will see the comparison, why it is important, why the riwayat say, halakal musta'ajilun. Individuals who hasten, individuals who rush at the first sound of the 12th Imam's arrival, halaka, they will face perdition. In the time of the 6th Imam had children from several wives. One of his sons was the 7th Imam, Imam Musa al-Kazim. But in addition to Musa al-Kazim, he had another son by the name of Abdullah. Abdullah was a son from another woman, from another wife. And Imam Kazim was the son from another wife by the name of Hamida. Hamida was a very pious lady. Even the other was a pious lady. But the son that was born, Abdullah, he was called Abdullah Aftah. This man, like Jafar al-Kazzab, goes rogue. So while at the time of the 6th Imam is alive, Imam realizes this boy of mine is not proper. And on numerous occasions he would tell him, why can't you be like your brother Musa? Why can't you be like your brother Kazim? Why can't you be like him? And from the very beginning, Imam knew this man is not having a proper ideology, because he had certain friend circles, certain things. These friend circles wrecked things up. You saw what happened to Jafar al-Kadhab visiting the Bani al-Umayyah court and where he landed up. Same thing happens with Abdullah Aftah. What happens now? In the lifetime of, as soon as the 6th Imam passes away, this Abdullah Aftah stakes claim to the imamat of the Ahlul-bayt after the 6th Imam. Now what happens, what the 7th Imam does, that's a different issue. But understand, immediately after the death of the 6th Imam, his son Abdullah Aftah stands up in competition to the real Imam, who was Imam Kazim alayhi salam. So at that point of time in history, immediately after the death of the 6th Imam, there were two Imams taking claim to Imamat. Remember what the tradition says, halakal musta'ajilun. Individuals who go after an imam without appropriate investigation, halaka, perdition. This is a categorical example, a classic example. 6th Imam has passed away. Immediately after him, two individuals are taking claim to imamat. One is Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, which according to us is the right imam. And second, Abdullah Aftah. Now that's a different issue. 70 days later, Abdullah Aftah dies. What happens? Fulan, that's another issue. We don't want to go into that. But at a point of time, both were there. Now look what the 12th Imam does, what the 6th Imam does, in order to understand and without investigation. Now two individuals from the same family are. We're not talking about two individuals, one from the house of the Imam, the other from the house of a neighbor. No, two sons of the Imam. The father is Imam Masum, one Musa, second Abdullah, one Musa al-Kazim, second Abdullah Aftah, both stating we are the Imams. Whom do you select? If at this point of time you go by sentiments, the ideology at that time, majority of the people were saying we should follow Abdullah Aftah. You know why? Because he was the elder son. He says, what is your logic? What is your reasoning for following Abdullah Aftah? He says, because he is the elder son. Oh, but if he is the elder son, so what? He says, don't you remember at the time of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, Hassan was elder to Hussein, so he became the Imam first. So over here, now that the 6th Imam is gone and he's got two sons, both of them taking claim to Imamat, you need to go with the elder son, which was Abdullah Aftah. Upon the death of the 6th Imam, look what happens now. If that musta'ajalin is there, individuals would go after Abdullah Aftah. Seek a wrong Imam, you seek a wrong Imam, your akhirat is gone. This is why it said, the riwayat says, halakal musta'ajalin, don't rush, investigate. Just as here in this case, in addition to the true Imam, a pseudo Imam stood up. Similarly, at the time when Imam Zamana comes, there will be pseudo Imams that will be standing up. We need to investigate. Look what happens then. Now when the 6th Imam passes away, means he's killed. Killed by whom? By Mansur Dawanaki. Mansur Dawanaki was one of the Bani al-Abbas Khalifa. Once he dies, Mansur Dawanaki tells Muhammad ibn Sulaiman. Muhammad ibn Sulaiman was the governor of Medina, in the city in which Imam was killed. Mansur Dawanaki creates the entire conspiracy of killing Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Once he is dead, he then calls up Muhammad ibn Sulaiman, the governor of Medina, says, I've heard Jafar ibn Muhammad has died. Take hold of his wasiyat. Find out who is his representative in the wasiyat that the Imam has stated is going to be my next Khalifa. As soon as you find the name, take hold of him and kill him. Khalifa's order. This Hakim, this governor says, I have to do it. So he goes to, he sends his people to the house of Imam, says, we need the wasiyat of Imam, we need to find out who's the next Imam. The idea was to kill him. He takes out the wasiyat, he goes home, takes out the wasiyat, reads the wasiyat, ajab. See, investigation we are talking about. Here it's not about sentiments. This is, you're talking about life and death. You're talking about the iman. You're talking about your entire akhirat. He takes the wasiyat. When he opens it, Imam has written, after me, my successor are the following 6 people. Are the following 5 people. First name. Because in the wasiyat he has to mention, after me who's the Imam? Who's my successor? As this Muhammad ibn Sulaiman opens the wasiyat nama of the 6th Imam. Don't lose track. We're trying investigation to find the right Imam. As he opens, he sees 5 names over the ajab. First name Imam writes, after me my successor are these individuals. 1. Mansur Dawaniqi, the Khalifa Bani Abbas. Second, his own name, Muhammad ibn Sulaiman, the governor of Medina. Third name, my wife Hamida is my successor. Fourth name, my elder son Abdullah Afta. The 5th name, my younger son Musa al-Kadhim. This Muhammad ibn Sulaiman, the governor of Medina, opens a letter. He is under instructions of Mansur Dawanaqi. He was the Khalifatul Muslimin, superpower. He was the emperor, he was the Badshah, he was the Shanch. He says, as soon as you find the name, kill them. He opens, first name Mansur Dawanaqi, I can't kill you. Second name, my own name. But how can I kill myself? Third name, lady, is confused, I don't know what to do. He writes to Mansur Dawanaqi, Baba, this is the problem. Look, this is the letter. This letter goes to Mansur Dawanaqi, sees his name, his governor's name. Lady says, what has this Jafar ibn Muhammad gone and done? Whom do I kill? I can't kill myself, I can't kill my governor, I can't kill a lady, bana. It will create feminist movement so much, bana. You touch anybody, girl, but lady, but it starts of a problem. Only somebody else can talk and get away with it. But anyway, what happens is he says, whom do I kill? What do I do? What do I do? That entire issue gets sorted out. But with Mansur Dawanaqi, it gets sorted out. It doesn't get sorted out amongst the Shiites. The Shiites somehow confused. Baba, Mansur Dawanaqi, the 6th Imam, is mentioned Mansur as a successor. How? And his governor, his wife, Baba, we are confused. Now there was a huge outrage, uproar. Who's the Imam? Who's the successor? What do we understand? Su karwanu su nahi. While this entire thing was going on, remember, understand, investigation. Halakal musta'ajilun. You don't investigate, you can land up into perdition. They were confused. Whom do we follow? We can't follow these individuals. Who is the real Imam now? Whom do we go for a shar'i masal? Whom do we give our khums? Whom do we seek guidance from? One individual from amongst the companions by the name of Abu Basir. Abu Basir, one of those Jalilul Qadr, one of those intelligent Sahaba of the 6th Imam, very old, blind. He had traveled somewhere, comes into Medina, comes to know lot of Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Comes to Medina, a huge outrage, a huge uproar. What is happening? He says, 6th Imam is dead. Ya wawayla. Says, now what is the problem? The problem is this, that he has left a wasiyat which is not identified an individual as an Imam. We're confused, we don't know who's the Imam. He says, I can help you. Let me hear what exactly it is. Probably I can help you out. Because he could not see. He said, can you read it out to me? There's it in Muhammad ibn Ja'far ibn Muhammad now announces that after me the following people are the successor. He said, these 5 people, we don't know whom to follow. He says, read out the names. First, Mansur Dawanaqi. Second, Muhammad ibn Sulaiman. Third, Hamida, the wife of Imam Sadiq. Fourth, Abdullah Afta. Fifth, Musa al-Kadhim. As soon as he hears this name, he hits his hand. I know who's the Imam. He said, no, you know who's the Imam, you can't even see. What happened? This is a code that Imam had given. I know who's the Imam, Hassan. I know who's the Imam. You see, out of these 5 people, do you know who's the Imam? It says Imam has hidden the real name of an Imam. The 6th Imam has hidden the real name of the 7th Imam in amongst this. If you know your religion and you investigate well, you will not lose out on the real Imam. So now everybody is saying, Abu Basir, we trust you. Sami'na wa atana. You're such a close confidant of Imam Sadiq. We trust you, but can you explain to us how do you get, and who is it? It says, I will take you through each of them and I will tell you which of them is the Imam, by the elimination, trial and elimination. It says, hi Abbas, let's start off. It says, first name Mansoor Dawanaki. It says, Mansoor Dawanaki cannot, investigation, Mansoor Dawanaki cannot be the Imam. It says, why? A Zalim cannot be the Imam. Quran says, La yanalu ahadi zalimin. My Imamat will never go to a Zalim. He is a Zalim, he kills people, he cannot be an Imam. Correct? So one is gone. So what about Muhammad ibn Sulaiman? It says the tradition of the Holy Prophet, somebody who helps a Zalim is a Zalim himself. This is the governor of Mansoor Dawanaki who is a Zalim. So according to the tradition of the Holy Prophet, this person becomes a Zalim. He is eliminated. It says, what about the third person, Hamida, the wife of the sixth Imam? He says, the Holy Prophet says, Imamat cannot go to a lady. So the ladies are automatically removed. No offense to the ladies, Abanada. You have to be so careful, man. I'm not Trump, man. I can get away with anything. See. It says ladies cannot, Imamat cannot go to the ladies. So number 3 is removed. With number 4, after the 2 individuals remain. So the problem is within this now. How do you discount Abdullah after? It says Abdullah after, the elder son of the 6th Imam, cannot be an Imam. It says why? Now we've got this. This is a belief. This is the Shariat. This is the rulings of Islam. An Imam cannot be an individual who has any physical disability or a deformity or a physical shortcoming. It is not possible. An Imam cannot have a physical deformity. A person with physical deformity cannot have an Imam. Abdullah Aftah was an individual who had a physical deformity. Abu Basir says Abdullah cannot be the Imam because he's got a physical deformity. And according to the Shiite fiqh, according to the Shiite ilmul kalam, an individual who's got a physical deformity that makes him repulsive into the eyes of the people cannot be the Imam. So now number 4 goes, who remains? Number 5, Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam. You understand how things worked. Had this investigation not be there, halakal musta'jilun. This is what is said. A similar event will take place when the 12th Imam comes. Although even more severe. Here you had one Imam. At the time an Imam comes, there will be several people who will be clamoring and claiming themselves to be the Imam. And that is why we said, halakal musta'jilun. Those who rush without taking into account, without considering, without investigating, halaka. They will select the wrong one. Abu Basir, with his investigative mind, looked into the items. Elimination, eliminated everybody. Who remained becomes the true Imam. This is what it is said to us. But having understood this, that we identify the right Imam, and the announcement comes, and we identify the right Imam, understand, whether, forget about us who are alive, we will have an opportunity to reach Imam. We will have an opportunity to go there. Just bear with me because I'm taking it to a certain direction. Forget about those who are alive. We've got a tradition in Biharul Anwar, again from the 6th Imam, by a Rawi, by a narrator, by the name of Mufaddal ibn Umar. This Mufaddal ibn Umar was, see, every Imam, every Masum had a coterie of extremely intelligent narrators and companions. These were those ones whom they would provide the mysteries of the universe, the secrets of the knowledge that God has given to them. They would not share that knowledge with everybody. You can't. Everybody doesn't have the same capacity. They're not on the same level. They're not on the same playing field. Some individuals have a higher capacity of understanding. Some individuals have a lower capacity. Every Imam had a few individuals, like Kumail ibn Ziyad of Imam Ali alayhi salam. This dua Kumail, Ali could not have given this dua Kumail to anybody except to Kumail. He could not have given, people would not have been able to understand. It was the ability of Kumail to understand that that Ali says, I will share with you the dua of Hazrat Idris, which we refer to as dua Kumail, because it was narrated to Kumail. Same thing over here. When you have these Imams, they don't talk with everybody. Mufaddal ibn Umar was one of those very, very exalted individuals, in addition to Abu Basir of the 6th Imam. He is narrating. Again the talk of the 12th Imam. And then Mufaddal ibn Umar is asking, says, Yabna Rasulullah, advise me and tell us what will happen to individuals who wanted to join the Imam, who wanted to support the Imam, who wanted to help the Imam but he died. What happens to him? Ajab tradition, the 6th Imam says. Imam Sadiq says, and I'm narrating it verbatim so that you know these are not stories that we bring out from our own pockets. Biharul Anwar. He says, when a person dies and he's put into the grave. Now the wordings. Utiyal mu'min biqabrihi. A person is in the grave, and the 12th Imam has reappeared. An angel would come to this individual, وَيُقَالُ لَهُ, and it would be said to this individual, ظَهَرَ صَاحِبُكَ, your Imam, Sahibul Amr, Imam Zamana has reappeared. The reappearance has taken place. The zuhur has taken place. Then he's given two options. Because this individual who wants to join the Imam is a neck individual. So he's having a good time in Barzakh. He's given two options. In tasha an talhaq bihi. If you desire to join the Imam, fa alhiq bihi, we will raise you back from life to join them. Wa in tasha, and if you desire to stay fi karamat rabbik, within the environs of the grace and the bounties of your Lord in Barzakh, you can rest in peace. The choice is yours. Every individual who's got a serious, sincere, mukhlis desire to join the Imam, when he is dead, he will be given an option. Either you remain in your qabr and enjoy your life, or if you want, you can come out and join the Imam. Majority of the people will say we want to join the Imam, because that is where the life is. That is where the ishtiyaq is. That is where the desire is. So forget about those who are living. Those who are dead will be allowed to join us. So if we are living and we have the good chance, the good luck, the ni'mat of God to be perceiving the time of the Imam, we would be given an opportunity. People who are dead would be raised. We got traditions. Abu Dhar will be brought back to life. Salman will be brought back to life. Ammar would be brought back to life. Abu Dujay Ansari would be brought back to life. Mu'min Al Firan would be brought back to life. Ashab Kahf will be brought back to. Now, where we don't want to go into those issues of Rajat. All these individuals will be brought back to life, let alone those individuals who are alive. Let alone those individuals who are there at the time of the 12th Imam. Now we all will be getting over there, but the problem is this. The announcement has taken place. We have done our investigation and we've realized this is the right Imam. We want to go to him and we will be given an opportunity to go to him. Problem is here now. We go to him, will he accept us? Remember what I said the other day. It is absolutely irrelevant. I keep saying I am the Shia of Ali. What is meaningful is Ali says, Shaykh, you are my Shia. It is irrelevant we go to the Imam. What is absolutely the crux of the situation is, will he accept us as his companion? That is the problem. And this is where now, again we are almost halfway into the majlis of the second last majlis. This is where now we start off. There's several traits, several conditions that have been narrated in the traditions. It says Imam will look into each of those individuals that these are the things I want. And at the top of the list, something that Imam will look, if this is not there, the highway, you're not coming to me. You will not come to me. What is that? It is based on this tradition, which again the 6th Imam narrates. He says, the ashab when they're talking, Imam will come, they will go, same question that I asked you. Don't think we are in a different world. Don't think because we are in the 21st century we think big. All these questions that come to us were also coming to the Imams. So they would ask, the narrators would, the companions would ask the 6th Imam. He says, now we go to him. What are the things that he is looking in me or in us for us to be accepted as his companions? Yeah, the 6th Imam says the very foremost ruling, the very foremost criteria, the fundamental rule of the thumb before everything else is, innahum atwa'u ilayhi min al-amati li-sayyidiha. It says the one most fundamental criteria, all other things comes later. The first and the most criteria for entering into the folds of Imam Zamana and not being considered as of the highway is total and complete submission to the instructions of Imam Zamana. Period. Imam says something, there is no return back. But I will come to this. Understand now. In sociology, and now you have to get, this is a little academic. 5-7 minutes will be a little academic. In sociology, every movement that begins, Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. In sociology, when you talk about movements, social movements taking place, so this movement is derived from by means of 3 layers of people. So for any movement to be successful, any revolution to be successful, any mission to be successful, you need to have 3 layers of individuals. One is the leader, who leads the entire, who's the strategist, who actually plans out what needs to be done. Then you have in the third layer, the general masses who are then motivated and mobilized and galvanized to go towards that revolution or to that mission. But between the leadership and the general public, the leader at the top of the pyramid, the general public at the base of the pyramid, in between there is a layer that is very important. This layer picks up the instructions from the leader and transfers it to the base. Till you don't have these three in sociology, if you don't have these three layers, no mission, no venture, no revolution, no movement will be successful. I'll give you an example of Iran. When the revolution of Iran took place, you had these three layers. When Hussein's mission took place, you had these three layers. And when Imam Zamana will come, you'll have these three layers. But the problem is, listen and observe. When the Islamic revolution of Iran was successful, at the top of the pyramid, at the top of the triangle was Imam Khomeini. At the base was the general population of Iran. In between that very prominent, very significant, very crucial and very critical and pivotal group of people like the Khameneis and the Mutaharis and the Behishtis and the Bahunar. Imam Khomeini is in Najaf in exile, but his rulings are being passed down and motivated over here. In Najaf he says, tomorrow all the people of Iran will come out of the streets. How does it come there? Because the Mutaharis and the Bahunars and the Behishtis would pick up the information from there, pass it down over here to the people, mobilize them, galvanize them to come to the streets. That's how Shah went. Shah Bayat Beravad. Fine. Same thing takes place in the revolution of Hussein ibn Ali. At the peak is Hussein ibn Ali. At the base is the companions. That second layer consists of Zainab and Sajjad and Abbas and Akbar. You need to have these three layers who take the strategy from the top, pass it to the bottom. When the entire three layers move together, the motion becomes successful. In any of these programs, if one of these layers capitulate or go rogue or become weak or become delinquent, that mission fails. So you have a look at all the revolutions that were unsuccessful. The Bolshevik revolution of Russia, it started off, it failed. Look at this. One segment was failing. Let's not go into details. The clock is going fast. Any movement, if you have one of these layers that are weak, either the leader is weak, or the second layer is inefficient, or the base is weak, that movement will not be successful. For this to be successful, all three need to work in tandem. When you look at the three layers in comparison to Islam, we find that the capitulation or the weakening of the first layer is impossible because the head is a masoom. Hussein is a masoom. Same thing happens on. You want me to show you what happens with Imam Zamana? Same three layers. At the peak of the pyramid is Imam Zamana. At the base are people like you and me. In the middle, the layer that takes the rulings of the Imam and passes it to people like you and me are the 313. Same three rules applicable. But in normal circumstances, you can say, if any of the three layers go rogue or become weak or become delinked, that entire movement stops. This is not conceivable for a masoom, because the top of the pyramid is a masoom. Masoom can never go weak. Masoom can never become delinked. Same thing happens for the second group. The second layer cannot go wrong. Zainab can never go wrong. Sajjad can never go wrong. Muslim ibn Aqil cannot go wrong. It's the third group. Could have gone wrong. Habib ibn Mazahir could have gone wrong, but he doesn't go wrong. Why? Because there are people supporting him. Same thing happens when Imam Zamana will come. Imam Zamana can never go rogue. Imam Zamana can never become weak, can never become delinked. Say in the 313, they will never go weak. The problem is with us, the third group. And this is where I keep saying right from the beginning, the danger is with this third group where you and me find ourselves in. And this is what we need to understand. Having understood this, that where this link comes, that the third group, where we will be there, because when the mission of Imam is coming, Imam Khomeini's mission, forget about it, we are not concerned. Imam Hussein's mission is what we need to take inspiration from. Our focus is the vision of the Imam Zamana, because that's where we are concerned with. The top person will never go weak. The second layer does not go weak. The third layer where you and me are the ones that go weak. And for For us to be there, Imam says, I need your help. But I need your help, I need you to be of a certain quality, of a certain nature. One of them is when Imam gives a ruling, there has to be absolute and total submission. That means now, when Ayatollah Sistani gives a ruling, we can ask him, where in the Quran is it mentioned that you cannot shave a beard? Where in the Quran it is mentioned that it is haram to listen to music? But when the Imam comes, and if we need to be part of his my way rather than the highway, if Imam says jump, we say how high, not why. This is when the success comes. But there have been cases in history. There have been cases in history where a religious leader, a divine leader has come by the calling of the people, and now when the people have called him, they have left him to die. They have left him alone, they have not done the work. Can you give you an example? Time of Hazrat Musa. I'm looking at the watch very quickly. At the time of Hazrat Musa, Bani Israel were under complete subjugation of Fir'aun. Fir'aun yudabbihuna abna'ahum wa yastahyuna nisa'ahum. Quran says he would slaughter their children and he would set aside their ladies in a separate place. You know, your elders. Yudabbihuna abna'ahum wa yastahyuna nisa'ahum. Kill their males, separate the ladies. He would not kill them, he would separate them. They would clamor, oh Allah, Allahumma ajil li waliyaka al-faraj, Allahumma ajil li waliyaka al-faraj. These is in Arabic, they would say in Hebrew. Allah, send down your somebody who can help us. Musa comes. When Musa comes, Musa tells Pharaoh, I'm taking my Bani Israel with me. God says, go take, I will help you. They take, this is fast forward now. They take the Bani Israel. Musa takes him. Whether it is to the Red Sea, whether it is to the Nile, we're not concerned. They go to the sea. God says, Fadrib bi asak al-hajar. Take your sword, take your staff, hit the rock. The entire sea parts. The entire congregation, Musa goes. Bani Israel goes. Fir'aun comes. Bani Israel cross on the other side. Fir'aun and his team in the middle. The water comes. Gharaka. They die. Drowned. Khalas. Story finish. They go on to the other side. Where do they go? God sends revelation to them. To Musa. Musa, I have ordained for the Bani Israel, for your sake, a land that will be a land of peace for them. A holy land. Tell these people to go inside. So they go to reach the Holy Land based upon the revelation of God. As they reach the Holy Land, they're supposed to enter. But problem. The problem is, in that Holy Land that God had ordained would be their nation, because now they're a land, they're people without nation. They don't have any state. They don't have any country. God says, this is the place I will make you your home. But you cannot get anything for free. In that place lived a community that was Jabbar, ferocious, barbarian, crude, jungly, very warrior-like. God tells Musa, tell these individuals to go fight them. They may look to be superior to them, but my help they will win. The Bani Israel, tell them to enter. Musa comes, oh Bani Israel, you are moving around, nomadic life that you are living, no land, no country, enter this land. This will be your land for posterity, for eternity. But you need to fight these individuals and kill them out. Now what the Bani Israel says in Surah Ma'idah, verse number 21, 22, 23, 24 says, they say, Musa, what are you telling us? You said you would free us. We came to you because we thought you would free us. We never knew you wanted us to fight. Says, Musa tells them, Ya qawm idkhulul ard al-muqaddasata allati kataballahu lakum. This is Quran. Huh? Oh people, enter into this land that God has ordained for you. Enter into this land. They say, Ya Musa, lan nadkhula fiha, inna fiha qawman jabbarin. There is a very ferocious tribe inside. You want us to fight them? Inna lan nadkhulaha hatta yakhruju minha. Till they don't come outside, we will not go. Musa said, they will not come outside. You need to fight them to remove them. Then this land becomes yours. And understand, just as God helped you with the parting of the sea, He will help you over them. Go inside. They emphasize. It says, Ya Musa, lan nadkhulaha. We will never enter this. Then they go a step further. So if you want us to enter, you and your Lord fight, we are sitting over here. This is not a Oasis killer. This is Quran. It says, فَاذْهَبَا أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكَ فَقَاتِلًا. Go you and your Allah. Fight them, kill them. فَنَحْنُ هَاهُنَا قَاعِدُونَ. We are waiting over here. You kill them. Once you kill them with your Lord, we are entering. God says, what do you think you're doing? You first were in a state of absolute persecution with Fir'aun, one. Your children were being killed and the adults were being killed. Your ladies were being molested. You kept cramming out, send a savior. We send, I'm using the words, send a savior. Send a Messiah, send a Masih, send somebody who will save us. We sent you Musa. We're telling you, just do a little bit of effort to enter into this land for posterity, for eternity. You'll have no problem. You want me to fight with Musa against these individuals? God says, Faqal, Quran says, Faqal innaha muharramatun alayhim arba'ina sana. 40 years I will make you get lost in the deserts of that land, which Tafsir says Palestine, Jordan, Sham, Baitul Muqaddas, whatever, we are not concerned. God says 40 years I will make sure you keep roaming around in that land. I am trying to give you a land. I am trying to help you. You ask for a savior, I send the savior. Now the savior needs your help. You want to abandon him? You want to leave him alone? You want to stand up against him? You want to tell him you fight so that you reap the benefits? 40 years. That whole generation was made to pass away. Their children benefited from that land. God says, you, 40 years, that entire generation will die. After you die, you will not benefit because you've left my hujjat. Same problem with Imam Zamana. 6th Imam is saying, when the 12th Imam comes, there will be individuals. When Imam says do this, we will say, Baba, show it us from the Quran. When Imam says do this, we'll say, show it us from the Quran. Imam says give money, we say, show us a chopra dekhao banam de account kar wucha padna. This is what you hear now. You give khums. And then people say, we want accountability from Imam, from the Naib Imam, from Aga Sistani. We need to see the books. Where is my 10 pounds going? My $10 going? Baba, what $10 you want? What account? And you keep hearing this, Baba. You need to oppose these things. People say there is no accountability in the office of the Marja. Accountability of what? My money which I have given. Baba, this is not your money. Khums is not your money, that is Imam's money. Once the day of Khums comes, 20% of your savings, of that annual savings, is no longer yours. That becomes property of Imam. It is like I come to you and say, "Hi bhai, હું તમારા પાસે જે છે તમને gift આપું છું. અત્યારે મને તમારું બધું ચોપડા દેખાડો." But શા માટે ચોપડા દેખાડો? Because I want to see of this. But this is not your money. Why will you want to check my business records? I don't want to share with you. This money of khums is not ours. It is Imam's money. We are just doing our religious duty of passing that money. Otherwise, if that money is not given, you cannot spend $1. If you've got $5,000 remaining with you at the end of the year, you need to take out $1,000. You don't take out the $1,000, you cannot use even $1 of that 5,000. It is haram. You take that money to buy a tasbih. Every bead that you recite, that's haram upon you. It will be considered as a sin. It is haram to use money of which khums is applicable but has not been given out. This is not our money. We give it to the Imam, to the Naib Imam. They say, we want to see accountability. Kya kharto thai che? Is he taking the money for his own self? Is he building castle? Baba, that man doesn't even have his own house. You see his clothes, tattered clothes, old, worn. He's never bought a new rida in years. You want accountability for what? Not your money. Why do you want accountability? If he is doing some embezzlement, he will discuss with Imam Zamana. Imam Zamana will deal with him. You and me have been told, give it to my naib. Pati gayi baat, khalas. You're not asked to take accounting. This is the danger that I'm saying. If we go into this mode now when the Imam is not there, this will remain when the Imam comes. And when the Imam comes and he asks us the same thing, and we tell him we want accounting from you, he says, out. My way or the highway? You're not in my way, so you're the highway. Highway means hum fiha khalidun. There is no success except being in the my way. Do you understand what it means? Imam says, I want individuals like Harun Makki. I want individuals, when I tell them jump, they say how high, not why. You know the incident about Harun Makki. 6th Imam, a person from Khurasan comes, Yabna Rasulullah, you got 4,000 students in your university. The whole of Iraq is with you. I have come to give you opinion from Khurasan. I'm coming from Iran. People of Iran are just absolutely crazy about you. They love you. They want to fight alongside with you. Please rise up like your Jad Hussein and take over this Banil Abbas. They've been mistreating you. They've been ill-treating your Shias. They've been killing. Take the power and establish the government of Allah upon this earth. And Imam is listening to him. Once he finished, he says, have you finished? He says, yes. Imam did not say anything. This man from Khurasan, from Iran, tells him, Yabna Rasulullah, I'm waiting for your answer. He says, I'm waiting to give you an answer. Bear with me. Within a couple of minutes, somebody enters. Who? Harun-e-Makki. Harun-e-Makki, one of those absolutely submissive servants and the companions of Imam Sadiq. He enters. Salam alaikum, Ibn Rasulullah. Walaikum salam. In olden days, in every house they would make rotlis. You know rotlis? Rotli bana hota tha ghar hai. Pita bread na aate waqt. They'd make rotlis. So when making rotlis, what would they do? They would have a furnace. They would have an oven. Tannoor they would call it. In Tannoor they would, you have these, it was very large. A person could actually go inside. Hey, those who have gone to Iran would know that Noon Sangha ki, yeah, you've been there. Very large tannoor, heated up, fire and stones. Stones, when you heat up, becomes very hot. Can actually melt your body, melt your flesh within minutes. That tannoor was on in Imam's room. This Harun-e-Makki comes inside. Assalamu alaikum ibn Rasulullah. Walaikum salam. Harun, take off your shoes into the tannoor. Take off your shoes into the furnace. Harun-Makki, salam kaira. Jawab maidu. Having received, what was it? Harun-Makki salam, you okay? Alhamdulillah, baitu bana, sune so garam pani, thanda pani, kain. Nothing. As soon as he comes, chappal card inside, go inside. Harun-Makki takes out his shoes. No chun, no chara. Takes off his shoes. That oven is blazing. That oven is hot. The rocks, the stones are red hot. He opens the door. He steps inside. Khurasani is watching. What is happening? He goes inside, closes the door. This Khurasani man from Khurasan is looking. Then Imam asks him, how are you? How are people in Khurasan? How are things at your place? But the ठीक ठाक चाले छे, बाड़ी बच्चा ठीक छे, business बराबर चालू छे, क्या गड़बड़ बड़बड़ तो नहीं, क्या tax problems तो नहीं. That's what I'm saying. The talk is going on. But this man, his eyes are on the tannoor. His eyes on the furnace. He knows what a furnace is. He knows it was burning. A man to go inside means melted into molten flesh. So in his eyes are over there. He's not listening to Aga. He's not listening to Imam. Just monosyllable jawab and replies. Imam says, why are you looking worried? Says, Imam, that man has gone inside the furnace. He would have died. Imam says, yeah, you think he would have died? Just go and have a look. He gets up, goes to the tannoor, opens the door. What does he see? Within the flaming fire of the oven, this Harun-e-Makki is sitting as if he's sitting on his bed. Neither the fire is hurting him, nor he's being hurt by the fire. The point about the story is not what happened. The point about the story is that once he opened the door, Imam says, Harun, come outside. Harun comes outside. This man from Khurasan in a daze. He doesn't know what is happening. He comes and sits before the Imam, dazed, absolutely bamboozled. Imam says, now tell me, you say in Iran you've got hundreds and thousands of people waiting to fight for me, waiting to support me in my battle against the Banil Abbas. Tell me how many of the people of the likes of Harun-e-Makki you have got that if I tell them as soon as they enter into a burning furnace they would do. He lowers his eyes and said, not a single one. Imam says, Riwayat says, one of the prime conditions for us to enter into the army, into the force, into the companionship, into the my way of the Imam is no chun, no chara. Absolute submission, because he is the divine leader. He cannot make a mistake. If he said something, there is a logic behind it. A logic that probably at that time you and me don't understand. There is no way that we can ask him because he's not going to answer. All these times, people were asking. Hassan, Ali was called to Kufa, the Kufians left him. Hussein was called to Kufa, the people turned back. Same thing happened with Hassan. Imam says, I will never let that repeat, because my mission cannot fail. Because after me there is going to be nobody who's going to establish that power of God upon the earth, the promise of God upon the earth. I need to have a sieve by means of which all these individuals who are only Muslims by name need to be filtered out. I need the creme de la creme for this universal, absolutely prophetic mission that has been prophesied into the Quran. I don't want rubbish. I want a creme de la creme. For those creme de la creme, I don't have time. Where will I talk about 25 things? You tell me in 1.5 minutes. But I can tell you the top one, that we need to get ourselves into the mode from now. We cannot always start opposing the tenets of religion, because if this continue, you can ask, yes, you can seek information, yes, you can seek clarification, yes, you cannot oppose. If you and me don't understand something, you don't say, this is rubbish, we don't understand. There are things that we and me will never understand, because Quran says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You've been given very little knowledge. With that little knowledge, you want to understand the infinite knowledge of God. Doesn't work. And if we don't change now, we will never change when the Imam comes. And if we don't change when the Imam comes, then it is the highway. If it is the highway, then Sheikh, you better be worried, because you might be very well in the company of Ibn Muljam. Somebody dies with the sword of the Imam, or the bullet of the Imam, or the missile of the Imam, or whatever. That person will never be forgiven. But this is what it is all about. This is what Imam Zamana is all about. And I'm absolutely having no qualms in raising apprehensions in the hearts of the people, because this is what is supposed to be. Allah tells the Holy Prophet, listen, innama antal mundir. You are a person who is to warn the people. Apprehensions need to go, need to rise, because only when a person becomes apprehensive, he will start going towards the truth. This is food for thought. You need to go. I can't be reciting every time. You need to go, listen, read, look at the lectures, pick up the books. It's as equally important to you as it is to me, and to you, and to you, and to everybody. But the problem that comes over here is, what has gone into making this mission so important? What has gone into making this mission, that companions of the third Imam of a nature, that the third Imam says, the companions of the like that I have got, none of my grandfathers and others have got. This is what the 12th Imam is seeking. This is what he wants, and this is what you and me will have no option. There is no option except to change ourselves so that he takes us. The sound will come, the announcement will come, we will even identify the right one, we will even reach him. The problem is, will he say, labbaik, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, or he says, ukhruj minha fa innaka rajim. Get out of this, like the Quran says to shaitan. Get out, you don't deserve to be mine. You are muck. You need to change if you come in. One of the things, total submission to the rulings of the Imam. How high, not why. But when it turns down into these ayyam, then there's a major problem. Because every time you keep thinking about Asham, Asham, Asham. The fourth Imam is asked, what was the most grievous, the occasions, the place where you were really absolutely horrified, absolutely shattered? Was it when Akbar got the spear in his heart? He says no. He says, was it the time when Abbas's hands were cut? He says no. He says, was it the time when the 3-pronged arrow hit Asghar? He says no. He says, was it the time when the dagger of Shimr was cutting the neck of your father? He says no. He says, Asham, Asham, Asham. When the veils of my pupi, my aunt, was taken off from her head. When she was covering her face by her bare hair. That was something I could not bear. And you know what happened, right? When the entire entourage goes to Sham, they're put into prison. You know what prison it was? It was an open-air prison. There was no sun, there was no roof. It was only walls. Only the walls. In daytime, the scorching sun. In the night, the temperature range, extreme range of temperatures in the Middle East. And there's no control, there's no support, there is no covering. And then you have that incident, remember? See, at times, small Sakina is in that prison. Na? At times, she asks a question that an Imam Masoom cannot answer. Not that he doesn't know the answer. He knows the answer, but how will he talk to Sakina? You remember that incident in the evening? In the evening, one day, Sakina is with Imam Sajjad, and they're looking up into the skies, because it's an open-air prison. As she looks up into the sky, she sees some birds flying. As she sees some birds flying, it's 3-4-year-old girl in this little naive language. She turns to Imam Sajjad and says, brother, where are these little birds flying off? So Imam Sajjad, little girl with little language, he says, Sakina, these are little birds that are going to their houses. For a few seconds, Sakina doesn't say anything. But all of a sudden, she clutches the legs of her brother and says, oh brother, but can you tell us when will we go back into our own houses in Medina?
Sajjad cannot reply. Sajjad is Imam Masumar, he cannot reply. Not that he doesn't know the answer, but how does he tell Sakina, Sakina, all of us will go to Medina, you will not go to Medina. You're going to die in this prison and be buried in this prison. How does he answer? Does he tell this 3-year-old girl, you're going to die? Sajjad cannot answer. But then you know what happens? This is after the event that I want to tell you. When they were first made to enter into Sham, they brought into the darbar, into the court of Yazid. Yazid's court, Yazid is there playing chess. In one hand there is his jar, his glass of alcohol. In front of him is a chessboard. In front on the other side is the cut head of Hussein. This entire group enters. As they enter, all the ladies says, let's put Zainab in the center and encircle her in such a way that the visibility of Yazid of Zainab, Yazid's visibility of Zainab is reduced to the barest minimum. So they all circle Zainab all around. Outside is Sayyid al-Sajjad. Sayyid al-Sajjad has already got wrinkles on his face. His back is bent. Having traveled from Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Sham. As they are into the courtyard, Zainab is now taken, is encircled by the ladies, all trying to shield her. And this man, Yazid, is seated on his throne, chessboard in front of him. In his hand there is a jar of alcohol. At times he drinks the alcohol, at times he's playing, but he also has a stick next to him. He picks up that stick, at times he hits on the head of Hussein, at times he hits on the cheek of Hussein, at times he hits on the lips of Hussein. Can you imagine? Sajjad is watching his father's head being mistreated and ill-treated in this fashion. What would be going through a 24-year-old youth when he's seeing what is happening to his father? Can you imagine what is going through the minds of Zainab when she's seeing this man who is her brother, whom she could not even bear separation, all this ill-treatment being done to the holy head of Hussein? Zainab says afterwards they reached Medina. They kept us standing for so long that our legs began to pain to such an extent, the ache was so much that we felt the knees would buckle and we would fall down. Absolutely casual, nonchalant attitude towards these individuals from the family of the Holy Prophet. Then after a long time, Yazid looks up and sees this entire entourage. He sees one lady in the center covering her face with her hair. And he sees this young man who appears to be old outside the entire circle. He turns and says, who is this man? Who are you? He says, Ana Ali ibn al-Husayn. I'm Sajjad Ali ibn al-Husayn. I'm Ali, the son of Hussein. Yazid says, how can you be the son of Hussein? The son of Hussein was killed by Allah in Karbala. Sajjad says, you've got it wrong. Who died was my brother Ali Akbar. This is me, Ali Zainul Abidin. But understand, Yazid, you say that Allah killed my brother Ali Akbar. Allah did not kill. You killed and your army killed. In the entire court, the Sajjad is watching, is talking defiantly. Yazid cannot bear it. He's intoxicated by the alcohol, intoxicated by the power. He says, this young man dare talk to me in my empire. Calls the executioner, Mr. Executioner, come out, strike the head of the Sajjad, strike the head of this. As soon as the order was issued, Zainab had heard. Zainab hears this. She realizes if Sajjad dies, the imamat is finished. She talks out. He says, Yazid, you cannot touch my nephew. You cannot touch my nephew. If you have to kill Sajjad first, you will need to kill me. He turns and says, who is this lady? He says, Hadihi Zainab bint Ali. She is Ali's daughter Zainab. Oh, she is Zainab. Executioner, first kill her, then kill Sajjad. As soon as the order comes, kill Zainab, Fizza was standing there. As soon as Fizza hears this, she is reminded of the night before which Fatima Zahra was going away from this world, was about to die. Fizza remembers, Sayyida is about to die. She had called Fizza, Fizza, come here. I've always treated you like my sister, but now I'm going from this world. This Zainab is very small. She is very small. I give her hand to you to take care of her. Protect her whatever you can with your life. All these memories come to Fizza. She comes up and says, oh Yazid, you dare not touch Zainab. If you were to touch Zainab, first you will have to kill me. Intoxicated, he says, Haya, first kill Fizza. then kill Zainab, then kill this Ali. As soon as he says kill Fizza, Fizza looks around the court of Yazid. She sees 300 Abyssinian soldiers. Fizza was a black Abyssinian lady. 300 black Abyssinian soldiers in the court of Yazid standing. She directly addresses them. She says, oh my brothers from Abyssinia, do you not see what is happening to your sister of Abyssinia? How can you just wait and watch all this happening? Would you not protect me? Riwayat say 300 swords come out. These 300 soldiers stand up, turn to Yazid and say, Yazid, you will not touch it, Fizza. If you do, there will be a bloodbath over here. Up to now, Zainab was listening to everything, bearing everything patiently. But now when these 300 soldiers support Fizza, now she cannot bear it. She turns to Medina. Oh my Nana Rasulullah, look at the state on your granddaughters. To support one black slave girl, 300 soldiers come up to help. But you're Sajjad and me crying out for help. Nobody to help the children of Ali and Fatima. Wa musibata. Wa Zainaba. ألا ولعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. ماتم حسين.